Hello and welcome back to another podcast editing walkthrough. My name is SP. I'm from the GonnaGeek.com podcast network, and I co-host a podcast about podcasting for the hobby podcaster called Better Podcasting. And another podcast that I actually produce and co-host is called Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the general Marvel universe. Now, I've been asked by a bunch of people that know I podcast or podcast from Better Podcasting about how I edit or how can they learn how to edit. So I went ahead and created these videos to show how I edit, and I make them available through streaming on Twitch, or I then upload them to my YouTube channel, Stargate Pioneer Edit Walkthroughs, so that people can get a sense of how I edit. The Twitch stream, by the way, is twitch.tv/Stargate Pioneer if you want to subscribe there, or probably better to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once again, that's Stargate Pioneer Edit Walkthroughs. Now, I edit using Vegas Movie Studio 15.0 Platinum for video, and then I transition to do some audio stuff on the side with Audacity. And the process is I do a video edit first, and then I export the file in a FLAC as a FLAC file, which is like a WAV or MP3. It's just a different type of file, but it's lossless, and it's a lot less storage area than a FLAC or than a WAV file. So I'm able to transition it back and forth and store it a lot easier. Store more FLAC files and WAV files, and when you're uploading, it goes a lot faster. And then I import that FLAC file into Audacity to do the final audio edit. Now, these are not lessons, they're basic walkthroughs, just like you would see in a video game walkthrough on YouTube, but I will actually give examples and explanations along the way of what I'm doing it and why I'm doing it, and some of my editing philosophy as well. And I generally put the time codes down below, so you can go ahead and skip right to a time code piece that seems interesting to you that you want to learn more about. Now, in this video, I will be editing Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 261, which I believe is the Punisher episode 5. So season 1, episodes 5. So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen that yet, go ahead and watch it and then come back and watch how I edit this episode. Now, my status so far is I've actually gone through the video edit, and then I started in the last video to edit in Audacity, which I actually have up on the screen with me right now. And unfortunately, I had to backtrack a second. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes here, but I will be editing in Audacity in this video. So what you're looking at right now is a bunch of different audio tracks. I don't have any of these labels. I'll do that before I start, and you will see exactly how I edit. Now, in the audio edit, my editing philosophy changes a little bit from the video philosophy, because I am dealing with probably the best audio that I can get out of it anyway, so I won't be doing any additional EQing on the tracks, but I will be truncating silence. I will make audio wave editing corrections, which is basically going in and sculpting the audio. I don't have to worry about any video cueing constraints or mouths moving, so I don't have to worry about that. And there is indeed only one audio track to edit. Now, I will have multi-tracks for the bumps and stuff like that, but the actual words going, the speech from the co-hosts, the presenters, whatever you want to call us on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D., that will all be just one track. So I don't have to worry about deconflicting. I've already done all the deconflicting that I'm going to do in Vegas Movie Studio 15.0 Platinum. And also, there will be cases where I will go back, and in the audio version, it's like, no, this just doesn't sound right. I will have to go back to Vegas Movie Studio, make the editing correction in there, and then re-render a small clip of the file and then replace that in here. But that happens 0 to 3 times an episode, and I prefer 0. But sometimes I just have to do it. It just bugs me to leave it as it is. Now, if you do have a question along the way here and you're watching on Twitch, you can ask in the Twitch stream chat. And if it's later over on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment down below with a time code to the actual YouTube video, not the video that I'm editing, but the YouTube video. So I can go check it out, what you're talking about, and then give you an answer. A lot of times I will actually create a new video to answer your question versus just a textual response. It just depends on how complex the question ends up being to be answered. Also, if you do have a suggestion along the way on how I can do things better, please let me know. because I will do it better. I don't claim to be a professional audio engineer. This is simply what I've picked up over the course of 8 years of podcast editing. And I believe that is it for the intro. So let's get into a couple of things here. First of all, I'm going to move. No, I'm just going to leave that there. So first of all, I'm going to explain what happened at the end of last time. So I was hearing all sorts of noises from Lauren's track after I rendered it. And I heard all sorts of noises, and I suspected it was from Lauren's track. It did indeed turn out to be Lauren's track. So I went back to Vegas Movie Studio, and see, this was Lauren's track with all the green here. And you can see how cut up it is. Now, what happened was Lauren was riding the gain pretty high on her Shure SM7B. And it just tends up to pick up everything in the room, kind of like a condenser microphone at that point. The dynamic cardioid pattern and the off-axis ambient noise rejection just doesn't do well on the Shure SM7B. It does better with a Electro Voice RE320 or RE20. These won't isolate everything. They will pick up stuff from behind or on the sides, but they're a lot better at the side or rear rejection than a Shure SM7B. But you turn even this gain up too much and you're going to get that in the background. So at first, what I did is I started listening, and that's kind of what I was doing at the end of the last video. I was listening and I was like, no, I got it. No, I got it. And I was like, no, there's an easier way to do this. And what I did was exactly what I try not to do normally, but since I was just working with one track anyway, what I did is I grabbed the bottom little bar of the title over on the left of the track, and I just made it bigger. And when I make it bigger, I can actually zoom in. You can see little audio bumps. And just here, you see, whoop, trying to highlight it and actually ended up moving it, but you see a little bump, a breath bump there. Maybe that's a butt that she's saying. I'll put it on solo.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was a breath. And you can see little ticks after she gets done speaking. And in this particular case, I think it was a K or something.
But is it real?
Nope, that was a actual desk hit that I did not end up taking out. I'm going to take it out right now. That's not going to be in the final edit, but you get to see what I was dealing with. So I was taking that stuff out, and here's another little hit. You didn't hear that as much, but you see that little nub right there. So the stuff that I was taking out was a lot more pronounced than that little nub. It was more on the order of something like this. So I could definitely see it, and I was just taking it out, and I think that is a word too.
Flowers person, so.
Nope. Again, I missed it. Wow, that's two things that I missed. But you get to the point. I was taking all that out in this entire track, and you can see how much I actually ripped out of it. I didn't take any of her vocal parts out. I just took a lot of the ambient noise that happened to be in there out. And then I went ahead and I recondensed the track back down. And it's just a pain to do that while you're editing, so I generally don't do it. But in this particular case, I had one track that was being very errant and very bad, so I just wanted to take all that out to make the entire podcast sound a lot better. It did take a little bit of time, not as much time as it would have taken if I would have listened to the whole thing, but I did end up stripping out a lot. I didn't take out sections that there was nothing wrong. There had to be something wrong with the sections, so as you can see, there is a lot wrong. Throughout her track, I'm going to have to talk to Lauren before she records with us next time about what happened here. So I finished that. I re-rendered the file while muting the music bumps. I didn't forget to do that this time. And what I ended up was this track right here, right in front of you. That's what you're seeing. So I've gone ahead and since we did it already last episode, I went ahead and synced the tracks up to where they started. Remember, it was the third cluster. No, it's kind of hard to see, but it's a little bit more dense right there, right there, and right there. And that is a beat, a musical beat, bump, bump, bump. So I start talking at the third cluster, always have in the 5 years that we've done this. And that is where we're going to start. The other thing I want to point out before we start is where this ends. So I haven't done any truncate silence on this track at all. I intentionally did not break it apart or anything. I wanted to get that number, 59 minutes, 43.8 seconds. That is what we're starting with. That is the end, how long it is before I do anything to it. So what I'm going to do here is remember what we did last time. I'm going to break that track apart using Control-I, and I'm going to move that track over using the time shift tool. I'm going to go back to the selection tool, and I'm going to double click right there, and I'm going to use the shortcut that I created. You can go to an earlier video when I created or showed how I could create these shortcuts. So Alt-T is the shortcut that I choose. You can also go into the effect and go to truncate silence to bring the same up. Now I have selected 0.85 for a podcast that's triple hosted. And if you're doing a podcast that is double or single hosted, you might have to go longer. Like a double hosted podcast would be like 1 to 1.2 seconds, and a solo would be about 1.5 to 2.0 seconds. This is because when you're alone, there's times where you naturally stop. And if you start again too soon, you're used to listening to the speaker's cadence. Maybe they shifted a topic or something like that. There should be a space in there. So you cut that and you create the space, or you generate silence. And in this particular case, you just don't truncate it as much as I did. But with a podcast with 3 hosts, there's very few times that I have to go in as I'm listening and generate additional silence after I've done this. So 0.85 seems to work out well. There's a nice speech cadence with it. It minimizes my listeners' waste time. Like if that was set to 2 seconds for this podcast, I wouldn't be condensing too much of it. But at 0.85 seconds, I am condensing over the course of an hour quite a bit. So you saw how much we had over 59 minutes. I'm guessing at the end, this will be somewhere like 55 minutes or maybe even 48 minutes. I doubt it'll be that low, but somewhere in that range. All right, then I'm going to press OK, and that shortened it. So now we're going to start all over again, since this is brand new audio, because I've removed all those Lauren's ticks and bumps and whatever she had going on. I'm going to have to re-edit all this stuff anyway. And I did delete that other track that was in there. And the other thing that I was going to do is create 2 tracks. I've done that, and then we're going to label these tracks. I'm going to scan out. So this is the cold opening. And that's exactly what I'm going to call this, cold opening. And this track would be the pre-roll. Network pre-roll. Just people saying you're listening to a show that's on the Gonna Geek Network, the opinions on your own, some legal disclaimers there for the network. This is the intro music. Let's call it that. This is the intro voiceover. It's actually my daughter, for those of you wondering, who does that voiceover. There is a reason that I do this, and one of the reasons is on multiple tracks is that I have to apply some effects to the different channels in some cases. Sometimes I have to lower like the pre-roll. I'm not going to do it in this case because I know it'd be good to take out a wave file and then bring it back into Audacity and then run Gmax one more time to bring those limits into exactly what they are right now. There's no master FX in Audacity that I've found. And if there is, please let me know and I'll start using that instead of having to re-render it. All right. And these tracks will be, we'll just call this bump. I like the bumps. And this track will say outro voiceover because that's what it'll be. This bump track will be also the outro music, but we'll just leave it at that. The reason why this is important is because if I'm jumbling, if I'm scanning north and south on this, I don't necessarily know if I'm in the middle of the podcast and maybe I've got one more track in there, so this goes away. I'm like, okay, I've got 5 tracks up here. I have no idea where I am. And it will tell me what tracks I'm looking at, and I'll know to scroll down, and that's what we'll be looking at. So now that that is all explained, we're going to go ahead and start editing and at least get this little intro piece out of the way before I have to go to bed tonight. Now it's time for your scheduled debriefing. I'm Director SP.
I'm Agent Lauren.
And I'm Consultant Michelle.
Welcome to Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're a Marvel Comic Universe fan show, and this show is recorded on Sunday, November And this show is recorded on Sunday. Remember how I did this before? Recorded on Sunday. No. So what I did is I shortened the distance between those two S's that are being discussed, and I'm using the really condensed waveform of the S to go ahead and just merge those together. And it should sound like there is nothing wrong with my speech at all. Marvel Comic Universe fan show, and this show is recorded on I chose the wrong part. Fan show, and this show is recorded on Sunday, November. And this show, there is a tonal difference, but the way I edited it before, it wasn't a big deal, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it here. There. And play it, make sure. Marvel Comic Universe fan show, and this show is recorded on Sunday, November 4th, 2018, live from the Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. studios and broadcast worldwide via www.geeks.live. You can come and join our live chat as we record. Ladies, happy National Candy Day!
Who got discount Halloween candy? Yeah!
I bought $80 worth of Halloween candy, and at the end of 1.5 hours of the Beggar's Night trick-or-treat, whatever you want to call it, I had one bag left. It was getting into dangerous emergency rations.
We don't get trick-or-treaters. We don't get trick-or-treaters at my place. So we had one bag before Halloween. It was the cheapy stuff, but we like the cheapy stuff. And one discount bag after, full of the good stuff. And we are working our way through good stuff. And we are working our way through it.
We have a bunch of people that come into our neighborhood because we're one of the quote unquote good, safe neighborhoods that people tend to give out some good candy, and then we're a safe neighborhood. Now, I won't say that we give away full candy bars or packs of full candy bars like I've heard some neighbors do, but we give out decent candy and it's safe. So we get a lot of people just from outside the neighborhood. That's fine. I'm all for it. I love to see the costumes and everything. It was drizzling a little bit, so I had to have the umbrella up, and I was out on the driveway. And out. This is a case of being able to sculpt the audio, which you cannot really do in movie studio. And I was out on the driveway. Out on up, and I was out on the driveway, and I saw a couple of caps that were running. I told them on your left. Of course, these 8-year-olds didn't get it, but it said on your left. And I saw like one or two Iron Man, but I saw Spider-Man after Spider-Man after Spider-Man. And I asked all of that, and Flash. So Spider-Man and Flash were definitely the two big ones. And of course, other things like fairies and goblins and demons and stuff like that. But so I asked all the Spider-Man and Flash which one they were. And they all, except for one kid, all of them looked at me like I had 3 heads. And were like, I'm the Flash. I'm like, okay, well, are you Barry? Are you Wally? I mean, which Flash are you? I'm the Flash.
Are you Jay?
Yeah.
Did either of you dress up for Halloween?
No,
I did not.
Oh. So every year I dress up for Halloween. This is the second time in my entire life that I have not dressed up. The first time was for a funeral. This time I have not dressed up. The first time was for a funeral. This time I was just feeling really, really bad that day. But we ended up still having a good night of it. Stayed in, watched some good Halloween movies. Yeah, we ended up watching Dracula Dead and loving it.
This is another case where I'm able to sculpt the audio in Audacity, and I wouldn't have been able to do this in Beg's Movie Studio without creating a jump cut.
Yeah, we watched some good Halloween movies. We ended up watching Dracula Dead and loving it. Have either of y'all seen that one? Mel Brooks movie? Okay. If you have seen any of the Dracula movies, particularly Bram Stoker's Dracula, it is a fantastic riff on those. If you like Mel Brooks movies, If you like Leslie Nielsen, it's great. It's kind of dumb fun, but it's great. It's dumb fun, but I dug it. It was kind of exactly what, but I dug it. It was kind of exactly what I needed that night.
Michelle, did you have any special plans on Halloween, or did you just stay in?
Just stayed in.
Okay. Well, that works too. I mean, it was a Wednesday night this year. It is what it is. All right, let's get on with the podcast. Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a fan-based podcast on the ABC television show Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., now in the 24th hiatus week following the season 5 finale, almost a half a year. The multiple Marvel Netflix series and the Marvel cinematic and comic book universes in general.
Because arrows are no substitute for saying hello.
If you'd like to talk to us about various methods of saying hello, you can visit our website, legendsofshield.com.
If you'd like to tell us about your experiences with arrows and saying hello, you can call us at our voicemail, 844-THE-BUS-1. That's 844-843-2871.
You can find us on Facebook, Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. Podcast.
You can tweet us at Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can see our faces on YouTube, www.youtube.com/gonna. www.
You notice anything there?
www.
www. I don't know what that is. www. I know what www is. She only said 2 W's. I wonder if there's anything that we can do with that. Huh.
www.
Wow. Did that work?
Our faces on YouTube, www.youtube.
That works great. I knew it was going to work great because I've done it before. Michelle does have this tendency to just do 2 W's before she gives a web address. And it's been such a low maintenance issue that I've never brought it up with her. I just replace, copy paste a replacement, which is usually the first one. Could be the third one, doesn't matter, or a second one, doesn't matter, and I just duplicate it. The other thing that you could do is you could select part of a track, and you can go to effects, and you can go to repeat, and I want it to repeat once, and that will create an additional W. So now there's 4 W's. We'll take that out. So with one that you're trying to repeat, that's just as easy to copy and paste as it is to repeat. So I just generally don't use it.
On YouTube, www.youtube.com/GonnaGeek.
You can tell your Amazon device to enable Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. skill.
And Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a proud member of the GonnaGeek.com network.
Agent Haley cannot be with us tonight. That's all right. She said she will be back next week, so we will miss her for a week. But she's taking some of that PTO time that she dug me about 2 weeks ago. And yeah, she takes her fair amount of PTO time too. So we'll see her back again next week. In the meantime, we've got a great episode of The Punisher to go over, which we're going to start right now. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the template file that I have made. And I know this is the bump that I play to start the main topic. It's basically a little stinger, not necessarily a bump, but I start it right at the end of that track. And then I generally go out and then I find the break, which is right here. I'll cut it. I'll slide this over a little bit. And then we'll select this whole thing. And be conscious of this time. So it is the length, 35 minutes basically. And I'm going to run the Truncate silence. 33 minutes, 4 seconds. So that's basically 2 whole minutes from half the show. And considering that I'll probably do the same for the other half of the show, that's 4 minutes right there. And there's probably more than likely at least 1 minute worth of edits that I take out. Might be even more than that. So this will definitely be in the 55-minute range or shorter. The other thing that we have to do once we get this all aligned is I have to actually crossfade this or overlap it with the stinger. And I do that by seeing the waveform and choosing a point, which is there, I believe. And if it's not, it would be just a little bit over, but we'll see what this sounds like. We're talking about the C. Yep, might have to go over a little bit. We're talking about the season 1, but you see it's still fading off away as I start talking. So if I was going to try to edit that in post and I've done this live, then there'd be no way of me separating myself from that bump. It'll just sound kind of weird. So that's why I like to multi-track. And it's late. I'm sick. I've been going for about 26 minutes already. So I'm going to hang it up for tonight. And tomorrow, hopefully I'll be able to edit at least this, maybe a little bit more. So that's 33 minutes worth. Figure that's an hour and a half of editing. So I'll try to knock that out with the next video. But as with anything, I'm doing this not as a scheduled thing, but as I get time to edit. And I do have a family that needs me from time to time. So I don't always have the opportunity to stick with it the entire time as a plan. So I keep very flexible in my editing, and you'll see that in the video links. But a couple of things I need to do is I need to save this stupid project so I don't lose all of that. And once again, got to save every couple of minutes. I'd say 5 or 10 minutes in real life, at least every 5 or 10 minutes as you're working on it, as I do in the track itself. But that was my initial audio edit, actually second video, but we'll just call it initial audio edit of Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 261. And in the intro section that I just did, next time I'll come back and we'll do the main body talking about the Punisher episode 5. Once again, I'm SP from Better Podcasting, which is a podcast for the hobby podcasters. It is on the GonnaGeek.com network. If you have a question on this video that I just did or any of the other videos on the channel, go ahead and ask in the YouTube comments down below. And if you do, please leave a time code of the YouTube video itself, not the video that I'm editing, so I can reference what point you're talking about. You can always get a hold of me on Twitter at Stargate Pioneer. My email address through the network is stargatepioneer@GonnaGeek.com. And if none of those work, you might get me several times a day on our Discord server. And to get a free invite to that, it is GonnaGeek.com/Discord, or you can also use betterpodcasting.com/Discord, and that will invite you into our Discord chat server. Thank you very much for watching. I certainly appreciate it, but I am making these videos for you, so I am not expecting any acclaim or anything from these videos. I'm just making sure you get what you need so you can edit the way I do. Of course, I know you're going to do it your own way, but at least this will give you a great start. So thank you very much for watching. And if you like videos like this and you're watching on YouTube, please hit that thumbs up to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time. Bye.